Thank you for joining the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Northwestern Division for today's Missouri River Basin Water Management and Emergency Operations Conference Call. Today is March 21, 2019. We will hold this call tomorrow, but will not hold it over the weekend. The call will be held Monday, March 25th. Today's call is intended to provide congressional representatives, tribal, state, and local government officials, and the media an update on the Corps' actions in the basin with regard to water management operations and support to local communities, states, and the tribes. I am Eileen Williamson, and I will be moderating today's call. This call is being recorded and will be placed on the Defense Video and Imagery Distribution System at www.ddidsh-hub.net/USACE-NWD. Your participation acknowledges your consent to be recorded. We will share this call and more information on our Facebook and Twitter sites, NWD-USACE. All lines have been placed on mute during this call. When we get to the question and answer session period, please unmute your line to ask a question by pressing *6. Please be aware that the forced mute function does not work on all phones, so if I ask, please use your phone's own mute function to avoid interrupting the call. Do not place the call on hold. I want to clarify that Corps Emergency Operations Center lines are intended for emergency managers and levee partners. Members of the public use check 511 for road closures, 211 for other questions, and to look to their county and local emergency managers for further guidance. Today's agenda includes an update on the Corps actions and plans for managing water releases from the Missouri River main stem system, an update from the National Weather Service, an update of actions being taken by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Omaha District, and an update of actions being taken by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Kansas City District. With that, I'll turn it over to you. John?
Thank you, Eileen. My name is John Remus. I'm the Chief of the Missouri River Basin Water Management Division. Our office is responsible for regulating the Missouri River mainstream reservoir system. Yesterday we reduced our flows from Gavin's Point Dam to 24,000 cubic feet per second. Inflows into the Gavin's Point project have remained steady over the last 24 hours. At the current release rate, we are passing inflows. We will continue to evaluate the conditions and make additional reductions when conditions allow. We will share our revised release schedule in our daily update, which is found on our website. Our Gavin's Point and Fort Randall release reduction schedule has been shared with the National Weather Service's Missouri Basin River Forecast Center for input into their forecast. After my talk, Kevin Lau, the lead hydrologist for the River Forecast Center, will discuss their Missouri River forecast. Gavin's Point pool has dropped below the surcharge pool. Pool elevation is currently 1,208.35 feet. The pool has dropped only 0.15 feet in the last 24 hours. Because inflows into Gavin's Point Reservoir have not declined as quickly as expected, Fort Randall discharges have remained zero. Regarding the entire six-project Missouri River mainstem system, we had 15.4 million acre feet of the 16.3 million acre feet of flood control storage, or 94% available to store upper basin runoff. We are reevaluating our March 1st runoff forecast. Preliminary indications are that the annual runoff in the upper basin will be more than what was forecast on March 1st. We will continue to monitor runoff conditions over the next few weeks as the temperatures in the upper basin warm up and the remaining plain snowpack melts. Our next official runoff forecast will be April 1st. One-page weekly update that my office usually publishes on every Tuesday is now being published on a daily basis. We will continue to update this on a daily basis until mainstem system operations return to normal. This one-page document summarizes system conditions and our short-term operational plans. You can find this update on the Missouri River Basin Water Management webpage, highlighted in yellow under Weekly Update. This concludes my remarks. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. With that, we'll turn it to you, Kevin Lau.
All right, thank you. My name is Kevin Lau. I work for the National Weather Service Missouri Basin River Forecast Center in Kansas City. We continue to have major level flooding in the reach between Rouleau and Atchison. The crest should reach St. Joseph tomorrow morning. It should reach the Leavenworth-Atchison reach on Friday and through the Kansas City reach on Saturday. We do expect some light rain this coming weekend, quarter to a half-inch amounts. This will not add to the crest upstream of Kansas City, but may add to the crest downstream of Kansas City a few tenths of a foot. Probably negligible. That's the rain this coming weekend. Again, our focus is on the snow melt ongoing in both Big Sioux and James Basins and the Vermilion. The projections for the Big Sioux continue to decrease as we get a handle on the melt pattern. And so earlier in the week I was stating that the contribution by the Big Sioux toward the end of this month would be as much as what the Big Sioux contributed during this past week's flood event. And now it's much below. We believe will be much below as far as the peak goes. The James, however, will, toward the end of the month, provide as much flow, if not more, than what it provided a week ago to the main stem. We continue to be in conversation, as Mr. Remus said, with the Missouri Basin Water Management with regard to Gavin's Point releases. And we continue to be in daily conversation with both the Kansas City District and the Omaha District with regard to levee conditions. And for the past 2.5 days, we've had a hydraulic engineer from the Kansas City District embedded in our office, helping us to model the interaction with the levees as water goes in and out. And I believe that concludes my flood potential brief for today.
Thank you, Kevin. We'll give it to Lieutenant Colonel James Starkville from the Omaha District.
Good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Colonel James Starkville, Deputy Commander for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Omaha District. The district's focus remains on ensuring public safety of our citizens and communicating the conditions on the river system to all our partners and stakeholders. The Corps continues to provide flood fight assistance to state, local, and tribal government agencies upon request. A risk of significant flooding due to the high plains snowpack in the North Dakota and South Dakota area, especially across eastern South Dakota and unregulated James and Big Sioux River basins, continues. I cannot emphasize enough that residents should continue to monitor the situation and keep in close contact with their local and state emergency management organizations to stay updated on evacuation plans and emergency conditions. Levee breaches can happen quickly or gradually and can occur when water overtops the levee and washes out a portion of the levee, and can also occur at lower water elevations as well. Warmer temperatures are forecasted across the region over the next week, as mentioned before, which will cause snow melt and potentially increase river levels. Today we began hydrographic surveys on the Missouri River to identify scour holes at the toes of levees to begin the process of assessing damage to levees. The district is scheduled to mail levee rehab letters on Monday the 25th of March so that sponsors can begin the process of requesting repairs if needed. Levees must be active in the Public Law 8499 program to be eligible for this. We also continue to perform daily surveillance operations on the levees south of Omaha, Nebraska, and have personnel today in Sioux City providing technical assistance to the city for high flows and snow melt. The city of Sioux Falls is also utilizing a Corps-provided sandbag machine and has filled more than 14,000 sandbags to date. Additionally, today the district awarded a contract for a levee breach repair at Union Dike under Corps authorities. The initial repair is to close the breach in the levee on the Platte River, and work is to commence beginning in the next 24 hours. Colonel Hudson and his staff are scheduled to visit Pierce, South Dakota on Saturday to meet with state emergency management officials to discuss the flood forecast and USACE's ability to respond to state or tribal requests for assistance. As you are aware, much of the levee system remains compromised. As of today, there are 43 confirmed breaches, and those breaches are located on the levees L611 to 614 south of Council Bluffs, Iowa, L601 south of Glenwood, Iowa, L594 near Fremont County, Iowa, L575 in Fremont County, Iowa, L550 in Atchison County, Missouri, L536 in Atchison County, Missouri, R613 in Sarpy County, Nebraska, R562 in Nemaha County, Nebraska, Western Sarpy in Ashland, Nebraska, Clear Creek in Ashland, Nebraska, Union Levee in Valley, Nebraska, and R573 in Otoe County, Nebraska. The remaining levees south of the Platte River down to Omaha District's southernmost border at Rula, Nebraska remain overtopped, and our planning teams are developing plans to assess the damage to these levees as soon as possible. As usual, the Omaha District remains ready to provide flood fight material to state, local, and tribal emergency management agencies, and I will now be followed by a representative from the Kansas City District.
Thank you, Inspector Starkville. Kansas City, are you there? Star 6, Kansas City.
Kansas City on the line. Do you have us?
We got you.
Good afternoon. I'm Rick Wesselbaum. I'm an emergency manager for the Kansas City District, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. We have three clear messages we wish to convey. Number one, the public needs to remain vigilant. Safety is our number one priority, and it should be yours as well. Number two, the Corps is closely monitoring conditions in the basin and providing information and assistance to state and local partners. And number three, the Corps is here and will be here long after the floodwater recedes, continuing to work with officials in the recovery phase of this event. We remain committed to providing world-class technical and direct assistance in southeast Nebraska, Richardson County, northeast Kansas, Donegal County, and northwest Missouri, Holton Buchanan counties. We have a tremendous team of 66 talented Corps employees who are decisively engaged in this high water event. In close coordination with the National Weather Service and the USGS, we anticipate the crest will impact St. Joe early tomorrow morning, followed by Atchison and Parkville early this weekend. We will continue to monitor conditions downstream from this reach as the water moves through our district's area of responsibility. As previously indicated, non-federal levees that have overtopped and breached are Union Township, Holt County number 10, Holt County number 9. Two non-program levees that have breached that we consider to be levees of interest are Holt County 15 and the Corning levee. Yesterday, the non-federal levees of Cannon, Great Bowling Schwartz, and Bean Lake overtopped. Today, the Rushville Sugar Lake levee and the Henry Pole levee overtopped. We continue to project that an additional 4 non-federal levee systems that are active in the PL 8499 program are at significant risk for overtopping. However, all currently continue to perform as designed. With respect to federal levee systems, NLRS 500R has overtopped on the Kansas side of the Missouri River. All levees previously referenced are on the Mississippi River, as you were, on the Missouri River in the state of Missouri, except for the Great Bowling Schwartz levee and NLRS 500R. These last two levees are in Kansas. We have 4 mobile liaison teams and 2 instrumentation teams in the field providing technical assistance to levee owners and operators. As we speak, we are preparing to send more teams into the field. The district has issued a little over 474,000 sandbags to date. We have 3 of our automatic sandbag machines deployed, and we're beginning to receive and fulfill requests for PTO-driven gator pumps. The district currently has an inventory of about 3.6 million sandbags and other various flood fight materials positioned throughout the Kansas City District. We are well equipped to provide direct and technical assistance. We have not yet had to adjudicate any resources. The no-work zone, safety zone on the Missouri River from River Mile 300 upstream to River Mile 450, and a no-use closure safety zone from River Mile 360 upstream to River Mile 550 remains in effect. We continue to provide support to the Kansas Department of Emergency Management, the Missouri State Emergency Management Agency, and FEMA Region 7. Our Emergency Operations Center will transition from Level 2 to Level 1 immediately following this broadcast, with operational hours being 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We can be reached at 816-426-6320 anytime, any day. In summary, we're still in this. The flood event's not over. River conditions are still a threat to people, communities, and levee systems. Please be safe. As a reminder, the National Weather Service is the official forecasting agency for the U.S. government. Please plan your flood fighting efforts in accordance with their forecast. Pay attention to National Weather Service forecasts, watches, and warnings, as well as local, county, and state emergency managers. Thank you. This concludes the district's remarks.
Thank you. I'm going to manage questions based on groups and locations. We will start with congressional, tribal, state, and local governments, and then we'll move to the media. I will go by state in alphabetical order. Please wait for your group and state to be called. Remember to hit *6 to unmute your phone. Be sure to state your name and the organization you represent before asking your question. We'll start with the state of Iowa. Congressional, tribal, state, and local officials. Again, *6 to unmute your phone. State of Kansas. Missouri. Montana.
Hi there. I have a question. It's Steve Walsh calling with Congressman Vicki Hartler's office, Missouri 4.
Okay.
Can you give us an idea when the worst of it might hit Glasgow, Missouri, which I'm just looking at our district, of course, Glasgow, Missouri, say all the way down to Jefferson City?
Kevin Brown, you want to answer that?
Yes. So, again, this is Kevin Lau with the National Weather Service. The crest at Glasgow is supposed to hit about Sunday night and Monday morning. It's currently around 28.5, should come up another 2 feet. Again, Boonville, crest around Monday. Jefferson City, Monday. Gasconade, Tuesday. Same for Herman. Tuesday into Wednesday, crest. Herman's currently at 24. With this added water, it'll go up another 1.5 feet. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it does. So what you're telling me basically, and this is, I guess to some degree this is good news, that we're looking at a well, I mean, things can change obviously, but we're looking at 2 feet over what we have right now.
Yes, or something like that. As the water moves downstream, it attenuates, meaning it gets lower, kind of flattens out, spreads out, gets lower as far as the peak crest.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. That answers my question.
I will say this, though, sir. This is without any addition. Well, this is with just the rainfall this coming weekend. So any additional rain next week would exacerbate the situation. As far as the models I've been looking at, we do not expect rain next week. We do expect rain coming in next weekend, a week from Saturday, Sunday time frame. But by then, the crest should be through Herman.
Very good. Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. We had just passed Montana, state of Nebraska. Again, congressional, tribal, state, and local officials, *6 to come off mute for any questions. Nebraska.
Hi, this is Dean with Congressman Basin's office, Nebraska 2nd. And my question is for Lieutenant Colonel Starsel. Can you go into the Union Dike explanation a little deeper, please?
Hey, this is Matt Krasky. I'm the Emergency Management Chief here at the Omaha District.
That spells Krajewski.
So the Union Dike breachlet, under our PL 8499 authorities, we have authorization for initial repairs. So we can close the breach somewhere between the 10 and 25 year flow. It just depends on the situation in the area. That is what we are doing at that site.
Thank you very much.
We issued a contract for material and construction.
And you expect it to start in the next 24 hours?
Yeah, I expect it to start today, and there's a 6-day duration.
That answered my last question. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Moving to North Dakota, or any others from Nebraska. Star 6. Okay, North Dakota. South Dakota. Wyoming. All right. We'll move to media.
I have South Dakota.
Okay, sorry, South Dakota. And who is this, please?
My name is Jessica Forbear, and I'm calling on behalf of Chairman Frazier of the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe.
Okay. Go ahead.
We are asking if it is true that there's going to be a release at the Angostar Lake, and how is that going to impact the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe?
Which lake is that, ma'am?
Angostar?
That's a Bureau of Reclamation project.
Okay.
This is John Remus. That's a Bureau of Reclamation project, and we don't get their release schedules.
Okay.
You should contact the, I'm not sure which area office there. You could contact Matt Nelson of our water control, our Omaha District's water control section. His number is 402-995-2308.
Okay. Second question, and if you can't answer them, you can just let me know. What's your projection for the flood levels for Wasta coming this way?
Kevin Lau, you want to take that one, please?
Sure. I am looking at our model. Actually, I'm not looking at our official forecast. What I'm seeing at Wasta is a crest of approximately 17,000 CFS, 11.5 feet on 327. So that's 11.5 feet on 327.
Okay.
I will now go and see if we have an official forecast out for that location. If that's okay, I'll need to leave my desk for a second.
Okay. And I just have two more questions, too.
Okay, go ahead with those.
Okay. Third question, what are your projections for the Morrill River?
That's another question for Kevin Lau. What's your other question?
Just to give a report that here we have Route 8, Route 3, and Route 2 that are running over.
Okay, thank you. We'll take that report and check with our engineers to make sure they're tracking it.
Okay. So do I just wait for Kevin then?
Yeah, I think he was going to check that, so we'll give him just a second.
Sure. Eileen, go ahead with other questions, and I'll get back to this question when I have the answer. I apologize.
No problem.
That's fine. Jump in when you get back. So we'll move on. I had asked for state of Wyoming, congressional, tribal, state, local. I think we were about ready to move media. So state of Iowa media, star 6 to come off mute.
Hi, this is Marjorie Beck with the Associated Press. Can you give me an idea, particularly along the Missouri, or what areas are of most concern right now and going into tomorrow for Iowa?
That would be a Kevin Lau question, so we'll have to wait for him to get back.
Okay. Can you spell Kevin's last name for me?
It's L-O-W, like wow, pronounced wow, but L-O-W.
Got it, thank
Can
you.
you restate your question, please?
My question was, what areas are of most concern going into tomorrow and the weekend along the Missouri for Iowa?
Ma'am, this is John Remus. Are you talking about river flows, or are you talking about infrastructure problems?
I think I would ask first about cresting, whether that's already happened for most of Iowa. If not, where do we expect crests along that?
This is John Remus, water manager. As Kevin Lau indicated earlier, the crests have passed gauges in Iowa.
Okay.
On the Missouri River.
And so then my next question would be infrastructure along that in Iowa. Is there any that is of concern or that you're concerned may give or overtop in the next few days?
I don't anticipate any additional overtopping in the next few days. The infrastructure that is inundated will stay inundated for the next few days until that water starts to come out of the low-lying areas.
Gotcha.
That was Matt Kratzky.
Thank you.
Any other questions, or did you want to see if Kevin Lau had any more information?
No, I think that covers it. And just so you're aware, I'm asking questions from Nebraska and Kansas and Missouri. So I may go for a bit.
He may come back. Okay, no problem. Kevin Lau, are you back on?
Yeah, I haven't got an answer yet. I'm sorry, I haven't got an answer yet.
Okay. We'll move to the state of Kansas then.
Again, this is Marjorie Beck with the AP, and I would ask, I think what I heard earlier was there some concern in Atchison, Kansas. Is that correct?
Mr. Wetzelbaum, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Hey, John. Hey, this is Judd. I'm on the line. Can you hear me?
We can.
Hey, I'm Judd Even. I'm the emergency management chief in Kansas City. So, yes, we have concerns all the way from south of Rulo, Nebraska, down to about Leavenworth. We're closely monitoring our federal levee systems through that reach. In and around Atchison, it's primarily non-federal levees on the Missouri side. Right now, all of those are confirmed overtoppings in Rushville Sugar Lake, which is just directly across from Atchison, Kansas, has a confirmed overtop breach. But we still have concerns in that area downstream. Our real focus right now is upstream of Atchison through the St. Joe Reach, where they're still conducting flood fight operations. Over.
And you're expecting a crest in those areas tomorrow morning? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, we're based on the Weather Service's river forecast. We're looking at a crest through the St. Joe Reach tomorrow morning.
Of what? What would that crest be?
I think the current forecast is 30.1 feet at St. Joe.
And what's major flood stage there?
I don't have that in front of me.
Okay.
It's a little bit over major flood stage right there.
Okay. Concerns about infrastructure failing in those areas more than what you've...
Yeah, primary, if our federal levee system holds in that area, there shouldn't be too many infrastructure concerns. The levee at Elwood, Kansas, R471-460. We pay particular attention to it because it was overtopped in 1993. So we put a considerable effort into assisting the levee owner operator there with levee controls, performance monitoring, and providing technical assistance. They are currently considering placing sandbags in certain locations, low spots on the left system, but right now we do not believe it's going to overtop. It's just a
And where is
form
that
of,
again?
it's right at St. Joe, Missouri, right across the river in Donovan County, and it's the little community, Spellwood, Kansas.
Gotcha.
Elaine, I'm back.
Okay, real quick before we give it back to you, Kevin, Rick and Judd, can you each spell your names for the reporters, please?
Sure, Judd Knieven, first name Judd, J-U-D, last name's Knieven, it's K-N-E-U-V as in Victor, E-A-N.
Hey, this is Rick in Kansas City. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so Rick, R-I-C-K, last name I'll spell phonetically, Whiskey, Echo, India, X-ray, Echo, Lima, Bravo, Alpha, Uniform, Mike.
Thank you. Kevin Lau, you can answer the question related to Iowa.
Okay, so can I go back and answer the question about the Moreau first, since I've got it up?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, so, Moreau River at, Faith, we expect to get close to, the month, just minor flooding. Our outlook, we do not have an official forecast on, Moreau River at Whitehorse, but there's a high likelihood that we will see significant flooding, toward the end of the month on the Moreau River at Whitehorse. Perhaps even major. We have no official forecast out on Wasta, so the projection I gave earlier of 11.5 is still my best estimate. And then I did not catch what the Iowa question was, and I'm very sorry.
I think I got my answers to the question that I had on that, so thank you.
Of course, yes. Did that answer the question on the Moreau and Wasta?
For that original caller, if you need to press star 6 to come off mute.
My questions are answered. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Again, I apologize for the delay.
No problem. Thank you. Any more questions from the state of Kansas? Again, star 6 to unmute your phone. Missouri.
Now, this is Marjorie back again with the AP, and I think we covered when we talked about Kansas, most of Missouri too, along the Missouri River. Are there some areas outside of St. Joe that are of real concern that I missed?
Kevin Lau, are there any tributary flows that are forecast for flooding in Missouri?
No, not in the near term. Given springtime thunderstorm activity and the fact that we are wet, the soils are wet, we are still projecting that the outlook calls for minor to moderate flooding along most all the creeks within the Missouri Basin. There's a likelihood that we'll see minor to moderate flooding this spring over the next 90 days.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, any other questions from Missouri? Marjorie, you wouldn't happen to have Montana too, would you?
I do not. just the 4 states.
Okay. State of Montana. But you're back for Nebraska, right?
I'm good for Nebraska, yes.
Okay.
I think
Anybody else have...
plague running through floodwaters, but...
Okay.
Here's someone from Nebraska. Steve Lieber from the Omaha World Herald.
Who was that? I'm sorry?
Steve Lieber, Omaha World Herald.
Okay, great. Steve, go ahead.
And yes, I had a question regarding the R616 levee, the one right next to Offutt Air Force Base. And I understand there's been some discussion over whether to breach that levee in order to drain all the water that's in and around Offutt Air Force Base. And I wondered if you made a decision one way or the other on breaching the levee versus pumping it out, and what the reason was for your decision either way.
I'll let Matt Kraske provide some information on that for you.
Sure, Steve. So this is Matt Kraske, Army Corps of Engineers, Omaha District Readiness Branch Chief. So first of all, we don't make that decision to intentionally breach any levees. It's our policy that we do not intentionally breach levees. The sponsor did approach us about that yesterday. We conveyed the same information. As of this morning, they had decided not to intentionally breach that levee. They did come over and get 3 flood pumps from us, and so right now they are moving the water back into the river via flood pumps.
And do you have any projections on how long that might take then?
I really don't. I don't know, sir.
Okay. And so looking at how long it might take before Offutt Air Force Base might be able to be used again, do you know, or have you been in consultation with anyone at the base about that?
We have had folks here from the Omaha District talking to people at Offutt Air Force Base, but as far as timelines of getting their infrastructure back up, I don't have any of that information. That would have to come from Offutt Air Force Base.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, this is Marjorie again, and just Steve's question made me think of one. I was wondering, because I haven't found out yet, the flooding at Offutt, was that caused simply by overtopping of levees, or was there a breach somewhere?
It was caused by overtopping primarily. Okay. There was no breach that fed into that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
That brings up another question for me, because I talked to John Winkler at the Papio Missouri River Natural Resources District, and he said that there was in fact a breach at 613, right next to the Platte River. Is that incorrect, or is it just that we don't know for sure yet?
I would have to confirm that, Steve. I'm not sure.
Are you talking 613 or 616, sir?
613. What he had told me was that 613 was breached and that it caused an overtopping of 616, which led to the flooding at Offutt Air Force Base. And so if that's incorrect, I'd like to know.
This is Colonel Hudson, the district manager. Yes, I believe that's correct. The 616 just was overtopped, but 613 does have a breach in it. But it really stems from the enormous surge down the Platte. And there's also a breach on the Iowa side in that levee system straight across from the Platte that's enormous. And so that whole area was affected. But we don't believe at this time that 616, the one around Offutt, has a breach in it. Now, once we get in there and start looking closer, perhaps we'd find one, but at this point we don't believe that's the case.
Okay. Any other questions for the state of Nebraska?
Yes, this is Joe Gordon with News Channel, Nebraska.
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
My name is Joe Gordon with News Channel, Nebraska.
Okay, thank you. Go
Thank
ahead.
you. Wondering what the Corps' response is to Senator Grassley's comments that the water releases from up north should have been lessened sooner than later.
Yes, sir. This is John Remus, Chief of the Missouri River Water Management Office. All of this flow from up above Omaha came out of largely uncontrolled tributaries, and primarily out of the Niobrara River Basin, which runs directly into Gavin's Point, the Gavin's Point Reservoir Pool. and Gavin's Point is a re-regulation reservoir with a very small amount of flood control storage, which was overwhelmed almost immediately. We did raise the gates and were able to surcharge that pool about 2.3 feet, which added a little storage, but this came in below the main storage reservoirs in the Missouri River Basin. There was really nothing we could do once that pool filled up but try and minimize the flow out of that pool. This had nothing to do with the Missouri River mainstem storage reservoirs.
So the Corps didn't have much choice, what you're saying.
Well, we did stop all of the flow out of Fort Randall, which is upstream, so the mainstem storage just did not have anything to do with this flood, one way or the other. Had it been full or empty, it wouldn't have made any difference.
So the releases didn't play a part in it?
What's that?
The water releases did not play a part in the flooding?
The water releases did play a part in the flooding, but there was no way to prevent the releases from Gavin's Point Dam. The pool was full. The flood control there is very, very small. It filled up in a few hours, and we had to increase releases or overtop the gates.
Thank you. I appreciate the explanation. Thank you. This is Jay Gordon. So I have one additional question. The town of Hamburg, the levee of Hamburg that was brought down, can someone explain how that played, how that decision was made to bring that levee down in Hamburg?
You're talking about the levee around the city of Hamburg, not the federal levee that failed, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, this is Lieutenant Colonel Starksville. Can you say that one more time? I didn't. It's a little bit hard to hear you over your mode transmissions.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to understand how the decision was made with the town of Hamburg to have that levee that was protecting the town brought down. As I understand it, it was the Corps' decision to tell that town they had to bring that levee down. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So this is Colonel Hudson, the district commander here. So back in, I believe you're referring to a temporary levee that was constructed back in 2011 as a protective measure for the city during that flood event. So that was a temporary levee that was built. That was not built to the standards that a permanent levee is built for, because they are built as essentially emergency in an emergency scenario. So following that flood, the city and the state, the city working with the state, had a decision to make to either upgrade the levee to meet the standards required for a core levee, or did they take FEMA would provide funds for them to remove the levee, the temporary measure. And so after an extended period of time, the specific timeline I don't have in front of me, the city made the decision they weren't able to get the sufficient funds needed to transition from the temporary levee to the permanent levee. And so they made the decision to accept the FEMA funds to remove that levee before that timeline expired, where they would just be stuck with essentially a long mound of dirt that may or may not actually provide much flood protection in the years ahead. Does that explanation make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, any more questions for the state of Nebraska? Again, star 6 to unmute your phone. State of Nebraska. All right, moving to the state of North Dakota. South Dakota. Wyoming.
Hey, Eileen, sorry, this is Jerry. I was through WNAX.
Hey, Jerry.
the questions come up. Congressman Dusty Johnson was in town today looking over things, and the New York Times story brought it up. And I apologize if it's been asked before, but in that they intimated that, John, you were not quoted directly, but it seemed to say that you had a choice of either ramping up to 100,000 or losing Gavin's Point Dam. Is that the case? Did you ever fear that? Was that a consideration that you could lose the gates?
This is John Remus. It was a fairly dramatic statement in that article there. What we did on Thursday evening was, because we could not get one of the gates open at that time, we did an analysis of how far we thought we could overtop the gate, and we wanted to not exceed that amount, which was 2 feet. So we ramped up the flows in an attempt to keep the overtopping to a minimum over that one gate so we didn't fail that gate. I wouldn't classify it as that we were concerned about losing the gate. We just wanted to be as cautious as we could with the infrastructure so that we could continue to control flows out of the dam.
Yeah, there was at least one gate over top. Wasn't there 2 or 3 at one point? You know, as a couple of them were frozen.
2 over top, but one of the 2 last gates that were frozen down was raised fairly quickly. It was really just the one gate that was very frozen down, and it just took a long time to get it up. The crew at Gavin's Point Dam worked through the night to get that gate up. So,
yeah, would it have been a problem if it continued to be overtopped? You know, obviously it's uncontrolled, but would that have been a structural problem?
It could have developed into a structural problem that failed the gate. That was our concern, with overtopping it by more than 2 feet.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions, Jerry?
Thank you.
Okay, back to the state of South Dakota, just in case anyone had any problems coming off mute. Wyoming? Okay, and then we'll open it to national press. Again, start to unmute your phone.
Can I ask a quick Iowa question I missed earlier?
Yes, sorry, and who's
Hardy at the Des Moines Register.
What was the name, I'm sorry?
Kevin Hardy at the Des Moines Register.
Okay, go ahead, Kevin, and then we have somebody after you, so.
I just wanted to clarify, did you say that there were 43 levee breaches along the river? And I also wanted to see if you had an Iowa-specific count of levee breaches today.
I'll let Lieutenant Colonel Starsel provide you that information.
Hello, sir. Yes, I did say 43 breaches, and those are on both, that's total on both the Iowa and Nebraska side. I don't have the number right in front of me on the Iowa side, but we can certainly get that information to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Any other questions?
This is Steve Gorman from Reuters News.
Okay, Steve?
Hi. So I know that without trying to minimize the long-term threat of flood during the season, I just want to ask you. It seems as though that various officials have said that they expect that the continued flooding of the Missouri River in the immediate days ahead, like through this weekend and into early next week, is unlikely to reach the widespread, catastrophic scale seen in Nebraska and Iowa like last week, in part because much of the excess flow has dissipated through numerous levee breaches upstream that have left water in the channel. Is that a fair characterization?
Can we get some more clarification on your question there, sir?
Sure, you want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. So, can you hear me okay? So, I want to know if it's accurate to say that the continued flooding along the Missouri River in the immediate days ahead, into this weekend, into early next week, that it's unlikely to reach the widespread catastrophic magnitude that was seen in, Nebraska and Iowa last week, in part because that much of the excess flow has dissipated, or I think you mentioned attenuated, through numerous levee breaches upstream, which have left water in the river's channel as it moves downstream. Is that accurate? Is that about right?
Kevin, do you want to talk a little bit about how you account for return flow, and then maybe we can add a little on to the back of that a little bit?
Okay, I'll try. So, you know, the primary driver, or one of the drivers of this past week's event was rain on snow in Nebraska over hundreds of square miles. We had 1 to 3 inches of rain on 4 inches of snow, so that's equal to 6 inches of an event. And so that now has entered the channel, that has now entered the river system, the tributaries are now down, so the water is now in the channel and it's being routed downstream and attenuated. And yes, we have lost water into the overbanks behind the levees and so forth, but the primary driver is no longer there. There's no snow left in the area that began this event, and so it's unlikely. There's no driver, there's no forcing, there's no reason why in the near term we would reach the levels that we've experienced this past week. Specifically regarding the volume behind the levees, yes, that water will return back into the river at a slower rate than it left, and so that will just be translated downstream. So I guess that's the best explanation I can offer to your question.
Okay, but I guess the first part of the question is that it is true that the flooding that we're going to see in the next couple days at St. Joseph and Atchison and into Kansas City and then on down to Jefferson City, that's not going to be anything near the devastation. It's not going to be nearly as bad as the previous flooding we saw at the beginning of this event, right? This is not people are sandbagging and they're preparing, but I just want to give readers a sense of that the coming days are not expected to bring the same kind of catastrophic level of severe flooding that we've seen previously just now, correct?
This is John Ramus with the Water Management. As you move downstream, and Kevin Lau maybe can follow up on this, they get more channel capacity or flow conveyance between the levees or even within the channel a little bit. Now, as far as seeing the type of devastation, I don't know, maybe Judd or Rick, you could talk a little bit about the levees that are going to be overtopped, because there are levees that are overtopping in that area and some that may overtop, I believe. So while the flooding from the Big Sioux River that Kevin Lau talked about earlier is going to happen, and you're going to see another rise in the river in a lot of places. It's not going to be as high, but we still may in the next few days see some damage in the lower river or the lower part of this reach. So maybe Judd or Rick, maybe you'd like to talk a little bit on that.
Yeah, I'm here, John. Hey, this is Judd Knieven again. We have numerous non-federal levee systems that have sustained damage that are breached, and there are various small populations behind them. In the whole county area, we probably have this area within our district is probably 40,000 acres that are underwater. The population at risk there runs around 550 persons total. It's primarily agriculture, but there are a lot of residences in there. When you get down into the areas that are protected by federal levees in the St. Joe area, the reason we're so concerned is it's a more urban, industrial population, so we have eyes on there. We do expect that a lot of these levee systems, even if they perform as designed and we expect them to, are going to sustain some type of damages, minor for most of them, but we do expect to see a lot of requests for assistance following this flood event. Over.
Okay, all right. So I mean, you're saying that the threat of serious flooding remains, but we're not going to see quite the level of catastrophic flooding that we've seen just in the past, last week.
We don't expect to see a lot of levee damages or a lot more levied areas flooded. but it's always a possibility. You know, once you get east in Kansas City, we have a lot of non-federal levee systems. They already have quite a bit of water on them. Anytime you put water on a levee system, I think there's a dangerous condition present. You never know exactly how it's going to perform. Just because it's performed well in the past is not a precursor to how it will perform in the future. So we're very cognizant of it. We're watching the Weather Service forecast. Our folks are interacting with them multiple times a day, and we're also interacting with our levee stakeholders, owners, and operators to make sure those systems are performing, and then if they need assistance, we can provide it quickly. Over.
All right, thank you. And one last thing, there were 43 breaches on the Missouri in Iowa, on both sides, Iowa and Nebraska. I take it there's been no levee breaches to date in the state of Missouri or Kansas?
That's not correct. We still have not done our damage assessment, but we do have confirmed levees overtopped and breached in the state of Missouri, and we have at least one in the state of Kansas.
Can you give us an idea of roughly how many levees you think you have overtopped or breached in the state of Missouri?
Hey, Rick, can you pull that number up? I'm sorry, I'm not sitting in the office. Sorry.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, hey, this is Lieutenant Colonel Starkville. I just wanted to clarify that number earlier. When I said 43 confirmed breaches, that was in the Omaha district stretch river. So that did go into the upper part of the state of Missouri, and then Kansas City would have to clarify that.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, hey, so like from our perspective, I can tell you, like, so right now.
Hey, this is Rick. Do you have us?
Yep, got it.
Hey, yeah, the numbers for Missouri is 7, and for Kansas is 2.
Those are breaches and overtops, or one or the other?
Those are breaches, overtops, or overtops and breaches.
Okay, 7 in Missouri and 2 in Kansas. Okay. Thanks.
Roger.
That's the Kansas City district.
Roger, that's correct, sir.
All right, thanks. And all the ones we're talking about in both districts are federal or non-federal levies, correct?
Those are federal and non-federal numbers, sir.
Okay, public levies. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, hey, so for the Kansas City district, we have one federal levee system, R500, it's upstream of St. Joe on the right bank in Donaldson County, Kansas, that is confirmed overtop. We have not confirmed it breached, but we have confirmed it overtop. That's the first time since 1993 that the Kansas City district has had a federal levee overtop. Over.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thanks very much. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, any other national press? Any final questions before we adjourn? Star 6 to unmute your phone. Okay, we appreciate your participation today. We will hold another update tomorrow at the same time, 3 p.m. Central. We will not hold calls over the weekend. Was there somebody out there with a question? I'm sorry. No. Okay. Again, appreciate your participation today. We'll hold another update tomorrow at the same time, 3 p.m. We will not hold any calls over the weekend. We will come back on Monday, 3 p.m. Thank you.